few people realize that the United States is the second largest consumer of illegal wildlife products. And a lot of people are shocked by that. It's a much lower number than China, and it's for very different reasons. Here, it's largely the pet trade or tourist trinkets or leather products. It's not wildlife that's being consumed. It's not ivory. It's not pangolin scales. It's not tiger skins. But then there's countries around the world that eat bushmeat, for example, and many of those are endangered species. So, it's not like consumption is limited to only a couple of countries. This is a global issue, and it requires global solutions.
So in the US, it's kind of more experiential rather than consumption or material.
Yeah, I mean, even, tourists that go on a cruise to the Caribbean, they may be buying a lovely conch shell to put in their house. Well, conch is endangered. It's a beautiful shell, but, it was probably pulled from the ocean when it still had a live animal in it. And, or there's some lovely feather earrings or, turtle shell, jewelry. I mean, there's many, many different products that people may not even know that they're, contributing to, the extinction of an endangered species. So I think it's very, very important to really think about the way we consume, anything that's animal or plant related. In many of them.
Yeah, sort of setting aside the U.S. or North American part of the trade and looking at, let's say, the Asian markets or those that are used for medicinal purposes. How does one even get their hands on, let's say, a pangolin from the African continent and then getting it to Asia? Can you go through sort of the network that happens to get that animal to the end consumer?
Well, depending on the species, locals are usually engaged in one way or another, either, helping to, find wildlife, actually poaching wildlife, helping make arrangements with, local authorities to be able to cross borders, again, involving corruption. As I mentioned earlier, it's the same international trade routes for many other illegal products, and then which involves middlemen and anything that illegal trade would use to pass illegal products across international borders. Many products are trafficked via airplane, FedEx. Some it's on the back of a motorbike. It could be stuffed under a bus or hidden in a car wheel well, or there's been stories of people smuggling baby birds on their body, in plastic attached to their bodies, or you name it, tiger cubs in suitcases. I mean, there's many, many ways to smuggle, but then once they reach their final destination, that's where the prices really hike, and that's where they bring in the most money.
But it comes from many countries around the world. And within those countries, you'll have someone from the country, let's say if it's going through Thailand or directly to China, someone will be there that is from that country that has connections with the government, because everything that we've seen, specifically in Africa, there's always a connection with someone.
It has to be.
That gets it out. And specifically if the country happens to have infrastructure projects, money coming in, workers in that country, it's much easier to get products out to the host country.
And that's a really important point.
Because we've seen it a lot.
We were recently, I think it was 2 years ago, we were looking at jaguar trafficking and poaching, which is on the rise in South America. And it's really spiking in Bolivia and across the border in Brazil, and in Peru. There's a large Chinese presence now with infrastructure, especially in Bolivia. And also when we were in South Africa, there was a lot of mining going on with Chinese companies, and an awful lot of wildlife is kind of smuggled out even through those kinds of channels. So, you know,
We went into markets and saw all kinds of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a way to
jaguar
get it
skins,
out.
jaguar skulls in markets in Iquitos, Peru.
And the bad thing about that aspect was, and I've seen it with tigers also, is the skins in many instances do not have a value because they're too hard to move. Or many of these other things can be like bones and teeth boiled down into a paste and shipped a certain way and mislabeled. And nobody's getting, they look at it and they go, well, what is it? And they just read the label, oh, go on. But it's hard getting skins out because of the limited value of